So here's the thing, I've been helping chiropractors grow their practice for many, many years. And there's kind of three ways to look at growing a practice. There is getting more new patients, there is converting those patients, and there is keeping those patients and giving great value. That's like the magic sauce to having a great 7-figure practice. Anybody asks you in my space, the consulting space, most people are attracted to getting more new patients. Every single chiropractor thought to himself at some point in their career, if I could just get more new patients, all my worries would disappear. Boy, how wrong they were. Here's how a concept called anchoring can double your PVA and lifetime value in your chiropractic practice. Maths on this is very clear. You can get 8 new patients a week and you can make $50,000 to $100,000, and you can get 8 new patients a week and make $800,000 of the same 8 new patients if you know how to convert and keep those patients. There's a mathematical equation for this, and in a future YouTube video I can maybe do that. So one of the biggest mistakes I see chiropractors making is if you're struggling to convert, at say a 12-visit care plan or a 36-visit care plan or 3 months care plan at 3 times a week, it's normally because they're trying to sell that thing, which often gets the person I'm saying it to, or the chiropractor I'm saying it to, look surprised. So let me explain in more detail. Normally the mistake comes from them trying to sell 12 visits. They will normally look at me and say, well, what do you mean? That's the care plan, or it's a 36 visits, that's the care plan. Or if it's a combo pack with decompression, chiropractic care, cold laser built in, I'd normally say in order to sell a 24-visit care plan, you need to be seeding and anchoring 46, 72, or time. Always anchor longer time periods. Anchoring is the key to selling care plans. There is this contrast that happens with anchoring, and for you to understand anchoring, I'm going to share with you some research now on how effective anchoring can be, or priming can be in your practice when it comes to care plans, as well as lifetime value, as well as how long it takes to heal. Everything is back to context with your patient, and the way you create context is anchor and prime. So I've got my laptop up here because what I wanted to do is just read directly for you what the textbook definition of an anchor is. There's this thing called anchoring bias, and it's the cognitive bias where people rely too heavily on a first piece of information, the anchor they receive when making decisions, even if it's irrelevant. Here's a couple research studies I can tell you. Anchoring effective pricing. In one study, people were willing to spend more on dinner at the restaurant named Studio 97 versus if the restaurant was called Studio 17, simply due to the higher number. In another study, higher numbers boosted perceived value. So in this study, participants offered more money for Belgian chocolates after writing down higher digits from their social security numbers. So this study was designed in such a way that people were first asked to write down their social security numbers. If their social security numbers were high, those people kind of lumped into a group. They would offer more if first being told to write down their social security number, and those social security numbers were high for Belgian chocolates. Let that sink in for a second. So high number, high number, high number. Then that's the first piece of information, or anchor. Then they were asked to suggest a number because they have the high number in their mind or head. They tended to suggest higher numbers. Another study called number framing. Individuals scored work performance higher when the task was labeled experiment 27 versus experiment 9. They were asked to rate their work experience. A whole bunch of people were said this is experiment 9 and then asked to rate the experiment. And then a whole bunch of people were asked to rate the experiment, and the experiment was experiment 27. With statistical congruency, if it was 27, they would rate it higher because it was a higher number. That's the anchor. 27 was the anchor. Another one called visual priming alters estimation. So students were asked to draw a line. They were asked to draw long lines and short lines. Students who drew long lines on paper then were asked to estimate the length of the Mississippi River. The students that were asked to draw a short line then estimate the Mississippi River, said the Mississippi River was shorter. The students in the batch that were asked to draw a long line, then asked to guess the length of the Mississippi River, said longer numbers. And last one, music influences purchasing behavior. In a wine shop, hearing German music led to people buying what type of wines? German wines. If they walked into the wine shop and they heard French music, they bought statistically more French wines. Hey, if you're getting value from this video, I'd love to offer you a big favor. It'd mean the world for me if you just hit subscribe so I can grow this channel and help more chiropractors serve more people. So the reason I'm doing this video is that people underestimate just how powerful this thing called anchoring is. And there are two key things that you need to always be thinking of in your communication about how you're anchoring. One is how long it takes to heal. People will always want to get results faster than what's possible in the human body. You always have to push their perceived idea further out into the future, even than what you think it might be. So you always want to manage expectations. The next one is how many visits per week they need in a given phase of care. When we anchor further or bigger numbers and then give them what they're getting, they'll compare it to the bigger number first. If we say things like, this type of thing we see all the time in our practice, and we never exactly know how long it's going to take to heal. It can take up to 18 months to 2 years for this type of thing to heal in the extreme case. Now, that person has then, whether you realize it or not, grabbed onto 18 months to 2 years as an anchor. Now, whatever you say, whether it's 2 months, 3 months, 6 weeks, is going to be, that's probably less than that they were thinking because their anchor was 2 years. So that's how that process works. There was a very famous RV salesman. He used to do really, really well. New trainees would come to the lot and he used to always sell the most expensive RVs consistently, and he was the best. One day a new trainee came into the business and said, like, dude, how do you do it? And he had such a simplified answer, and he was like, it doesn't matter who's in front of me, it doesn't matter what their budget is, I take them to the most expensive RV I can possibly take them to first. And he went on to explain that if someone comes in and goes, hey, listen, yeah, I'm looking for an RV and my budget is $1 million. If there's an RV on the lot, so we'll be like, I think I got one that will be amazing for you. He might go through the features and say, are you looking for this, 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 and this? And the person will be going, yes, that's exactly what I'm looking for. He's like, it might be a little out of budget, but I've got something just for you. And then he would take them to something and he would show them around, and they would obviously fall in love with it, and they'd be like, wow, this is awesome. And they're like, how much is it? And he might say something like, well, this is 1.9 million. The person would be like, oh, like, that's crazy. I told you my budget was whatever. He's like, but now they've anchored this beautiful RV that's all the bells and whistles, that's incredible. He's made them live it, feel it. They've walked around it. They've got to touch and feel it in some way and imagine their lives in this amazing thing. That's anchor. But now that's anchored in their head, and they really want that process, whether they realize it or not. In comparison to the 1.9 million they showed them, when they want a downgraded version, he may be able to take them to a 1.4 million. In comparison to the 1.9 million, it's a lot cheaper. Here are 3 areas that I recommend that you double down on anchoring within your practice. That's going to make all the difference for your PVA long term. Think of you feeding information to these patients as they walk in from the very first conversation. Number 1 is when they walk into practice, you've got the opportunity in the practice to already show them anchors by showing them testimonials. Sometimes we do fame walls where it's like, this person has been with us 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, or this is the 100 club, 50 club, etc. If you show them testimonials where people say things like, I was very skeptical before I came here and it was the best thing ever done, and now I've been here 5 years. A lot of people are nervous for their patients to see those testimonials because they'll be thinking that 5 years will put the person off. That's the opposite. That's an anchor. Another experience of it is if they walk down the aisle, down the hallway, and your CA says, oh, this is our 100 club, this is our 200 club, this is our 300 club, these people will be at 300 adjustments, 200 club adjustments. They may be thinking that's insane, why would anyone need that? But then 300 is anchored, 200 is anchored, 50 is anchored. So when you give your recommendation of 12, 24, 36, in comparison to those numbers, it's going to be a lot less. So before they've even done initial consultation, there's one anchor. There are many places to anchor in a day 1, day 2 if you just follow the scripting process. But as I mentioned earlier, the 2 key areas around how long healing takes and how many visits they need. Always be thinking of anchoring all the time. In the simple explanation of an x-ray, you may look at an x-ray with a lost cervical curve. A throwaway comment like, this is very common, but it often takes years to get there, and months to years to improve. That is anchored. So when you give your recommendation of 6 weeks in comparison to months to years, that's going to be more palatable. Another way to do this is you've seen the Road to Recovery poster. That is designed in such a way that it's priming into the future. Then as they heal, they may drop down the frequency, and then over time, this is where they are. And that's a timelining, or you painting this picture for them of like months or years before you give a recommendation. I saw a brilliant illustration of something called the soft tissue explanation, which Dan Murphy, I believe, made famous. And he drew this thing where you said, this is where you are now, and this is where you want to be. This is, if I looked at your muscles under a microscope, this is what they'd look like. They'd look damaged, but this is where you want them to be, and they're nicely striated. To get from there to there takes time. Some research in Guyton Hall, a textbook of physiology, says to go from here to here might take 18 months, or you might say for tendons and ligaments to repair might take 18 months. Drop that seed, move on. Now they're thinking, wow, is this going to take 18 months? So when you give your recommendations of 6 weeks, again, more palatable. Another area is with recommendations. So if you're going through your recommendations, before you give your recommendations, you may say to them, let me just quickly explain to you how your body heals. And you may do that soft tissue explanation, or you may do the Road to Recovery poster, or you may take a DJD model and say, this is phase 1, this is phase 2, this is phase 3. And you might say, very few people ever go from phase 3 to completely normal, but I've seen people go from phase 3 to phase 2, or phase 3 to phase 1, and that may take 18 months to 2 years in many cases. So again, that's a seed or anchor. A fantastic anchor here is when you're explaining what they could expect. In phase 1, we will see a lot more frequently here, and depending on the severity and the goals of the patient, we may see someone here every day for the first 6 weeks, depending on how severe and what their goals are. That's like a little anchor. In phase 2, we typically drop people down to say 3 times a week, depending on, again, their goals and their severity. That's an anchor. In phase 3, what people tend to do is say, we may see you monthly here, but I always imagine that they're halving in their head whatever you say. So I might say, we typically see someone twice a month in the maintenance phase, because they often have it in their head. But if you've said that in phase 1, some people can see me every day, when you do the segue into, so for you and what we've seen on your x-rays, I don't think we do need to see you every day. I think we're going to get great results if we just see you 3 times a week for just the first 8 weeks. Because then you can say just. That is in comparison to every single day for 3 months. It's a difference, right? So that is an anchor. Those are experiences to anchor. So that's the second way you can anchor, is in day 1, day 2. Another way to anchor, number 3, simply is in your workshop or educational experiences and every day-to-day adjustments. In your workshops, make sure you build lots of testimonials in there that show how Mary went from here to here, and now she's been coming for here. So great format for testimonial is before, after. Before she came here, she was like this. After she started care, she was like this. And after that, or now, she's here. I'm gonna give you every day-to-day little trick for you. There's an old saying in chiropractic that's take no credit, take no blame. And I see people say that, but they don't really live by it. And I always say the sirens or red flags should be going off when a patient walks in, specifically in their first phase of care. When a patient walks in and goes, doc, it's gone. I've had back pain for 20 years, I've had 3 adjustments, and you're a miracle worker. They're thinking that they're almost out the door, no matter how good your education is. Your job is to bring them right back down to earth and the reality and the truth. If you had back pain for 20 years, you've got all that scar tissue, all that mechanical buildup, there's no ways that you can fix someone in 3 visits. How long does it take to get ready for a marathon? Anybody would say it takes months. So whenever I get a patient that goes, wow, everything's gone, I'm amazing, I'll normally bring them right back down to earth and go, John, that's amazing, but that always worries me when someone says that. Because pain is often the very last thing to appear and the first thing to disappear. Have you seen that analogy with the straw that broke the camel's back? I'll draw a camel for them and I'll be like, remember all the straws. I'll draw all the straws. And like, you came in here because one straw added pain. I've just adjusted you. I've just taken off the one straw, and now what's gone? The pain's gone. But are the straws still there? We have a ton extra work to do to make sure that those straws are removed, not just the pain is removed. So that is how you effectively anchor in your practice. It's more of a mindset thing than a strategy thing. That's why scripting and those type of things are so important. But if you are struggling with this in practice, we have got some epic tools and processes that build these anchors in it. If you haven't checked out our AI conversion coach, it has day 1, day 2, and it's got an AI voice you can actually practice with and talk to and run through this process and feel more comfortable saying those things. Because at first we know it's quite difficult to say those things. There'll be a link to AICC. There's a free 7-day trial for $1 or something like that. It's crazy not to at least try that out. It'll make a big difference to your practice. But think about that throughout the process. Show this video to your team so they understand the importance of when a patient walks in and says everything's gone, for even the front desk to be saying, that's great, Mary, but remember, you're still in the beginning phases of your care. If it's been there for 20 years, it'll take some time. That's important for them to hear from everyone in the business. Always think of how to manage expectations, and I hope this video was helpful. See you soon.